What started out as a search and rescue effort is now a search and recovery. In the case of that six-seater Aztec that crashed in waters off Nirvana Beach last night, authorities say the plane left Latana Airport in West Palm Beach, Florida. However, shortly after 8 p.m., air traffic control alerted local police that the plane had disappeared from the radar in the area of Nirvana Beach. Here's Chris Lloyd, Operations Manager from Bahamas Air Sea Rescue Association, or BASRA, with what efforts took place last night.
Air traffic reported that they didn't have a flight plan for the plane. The security at the apartments on the beach next to Nirvana reported that, it went down, appeared to be on the inside of the reef. Could see the lights for quite a while. It appeared not to disintegrate or sink very quickly. Boats, BASRA, RBDF, I think the police launched, and in fact, by the time boats got on scene, the tail of the plane was still out of the water, but then it sank very quickly in about 46 feet of water. There was no debris field indicating that possibly the plane was intact. The U.S. Coast Guard helicopter out of Andros was on scene, and an extensive search was done until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Now, despite earlier reports, Mr. Lloyd says there was only one person on board. Now, according to Mr. Lloyd, the ill-fated plane is known to be carrying oil as cargo. Reports are that there is an oil slick in the area, and it is hoped that finding its source may lead to the location of the plane. Bradley Roberts, son of the soil, was not perfect. To his credit, though, he tried his best to make the Bahamas better, and though retired, continued to help people to the very end of his life. Thoughts Catholic priest Glenn Nixon left with family and friends who turned out to the former parliamentarian's official funeral this morning. Our BJ McDermott has the story.
Through the lens of party politics, Bradley Roberts was a firebrand, an outspoken yet witty figure determined to keep his party's political foe, the Free National Movement's, feet to the fire. For some, he was the epitome of what the Progressive Liberal Party must become to clinch the next general election. But there was also a Bradley Roberts that many did not know and that many only found out about in death. How, according to Father Glenn Nixon, in true Bahamian style, Roberts too was looking forward to the upcoming Christmas holidays, having begun plans to renovate his kitchen. Aside from that, Christmas Day would have been his 75th birthday. And how every Sunday when not traveling, the former parliamentarian could be found at the 8:30 Mass at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral, humbly taking a seat near the back.
He would leave Mass early, just before the announcements, not to trivialize his faith or to be disrespectful of it, but to simply avoid being inundated Sunday after Sunday by those who sought his help. Many Sundays he dug into his pocket and helped fellow Bahamians who needed assistance with rent, food, and the like. In this life, Big Bad Brad was known by some as a fierce friend and by others as a formidable opponent. But equally important is knowing Brad the Catholic, Brad the believer.
In his homily during Roberts' official funeral, Father Nixon added that regardless of what Roberts went through, failure or success, sickness or health, defeat or victory, he never once turned his back on his God or his faith. He was not a politician who became a believer, he said, but a believer who became a politician. He wasn't in the church was in him. Still, Father Nixon acknowledged that for those who loved Roberts, this is no doubt a painful time.
The pain you now feel does not mean you are too weak. It means that what you shared with Bradley as a family or friend was real and authentic. He touched your lives and you touched his. In this moment of pain and sadness, we can all turn to strong drink and despair. Or we can turn to God, our Father, and renew our faith in Jesus Christ, who is the resurrection.
Parliamentarian, Cabinet Minister, PLP National Chairman Emeritus, businessman, husband, father, friend, mentor, Bradley Roberts leaves behind his wife of 53 years, Heartland Roberts, one son and 2 daughters. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.